sometimes it's a lot, and that's why sometimes I like to keep myself busy, or like I'm in my phone, because it's like I'm running from it. But like, you know what I mean, when I sit there and actually like go through it and feel it, and it's a necessary exercise for me, for sure. You get frustrated, and there's times when I just want to like throw it in and quit. Yeah, that was honestly a really interesting story. I have imposter syndrome so bad, but it's like I look at it almost as a blessing, because it's like that means I'm outside my comfort zone.
Hello, my fellow Martians. My name is Harry Mars, and this is the On Mars Pod, where we take a deep dive into creative professionals, entrepreneurs, and other inspiring Martians alike. Today, we are joined by Casey Waters. One last thing, though, I want to bring up before we wrap up here. Hello, my fellow Martians. Today on Mars, we have one of my good friends. So multifaceted dude here. So MSU alumni. He's from Grand Rapids, just like myself. Started multiple companies. One of the most talented professional creatives I know. Everybody, welcome Casey Waters. Thank you for being here.
I appreciate that intro, brother.
Of course.
Thank you.
Man.
Thanks for having me.
Yes,
I like it here on Mars. Looks cool. You did a nice job here.
Thank you, bro. Yeah, it's been a long time coming, but we've been talking about this for a minute. Thank you again for being here, man. So on Mars, we dial in on creative professionals and kind of get a little bit of background information on why they started, how they got started, what they do now, where they're going next. So I guess we can kind of start, kind of not at the beginning, but as growing up, I know you were into sports and you played a lot of sports, and I know that was a big part of your life with your family. But when it comes to getting into business, was that I know sports was like your first avenue that you wanted to get into, right?
Yeah. So I grew up in a family where sports were the focal point. Honestly, all lives revolved around sports. Grew up loving basketball, the game of basketball. My dad was a coach, so from a young age, just always around the game, and that was kind of always it was my first love, and always was my vision for what I wanted to do in the future. So really, I guess. What's good, bro? I guess I didn't even label myself as creative, or even think of myself as a creative for a long time. Honestly, it was just like hoops. That's all I knew, and all I did, and all I kind of cared about and loved. I guess growing up, family of sports, and honestly didn't grow up in this kind of creative world that I've kind of found myself in now.
Yeah, but it's interesting though that being into sports kind of brought you in, because I know when you were in MSU, you worked on the basketball team. Is that right?
Yeah. So I was a student manager for the men's basketball team at Michigan State. And there I was. There's no test that I didn't do, but it was kind of like a jack of all trades: rebound, cut up film, drive players to class, host recruits, take them around, their families.
That type of I guess experience taught you the back end of running companies, and almost kind of stuff like that. So it's almost it was a precursor to you doing it yourself, all kind of seeing what kind of work goes into that type of
no,
program.
for sure. Just to see a program of that stature, and how it's ran behind the scenes, and how Coach Izzo runs that ship, and his demands and expectations of people within the program of definitely learned a lot of skills, and a lot of work ethic. I mean, I was there 60, 70 hours a week on top of a full-time school schedule, grinding. So definitely taught me a lot of the hard work and dedication it takes to be a top tier program or business, or whatever that is. I was grateful for the time there, and definitely learned a lot of lessons being in that front office.
So then when you got out of MSU, did you go on to work with any other NBA teams or anything like that?
Yeah, so I did an internship. My dream at the time was always to be a GM, general manager in the NBA. The people that don't know, they kind of handle the trades and the draft picks, and formulating the strategy around the players and roster. That was kind of my dream, where I wanted to be. In my junior summer going into my senior year, I had an internship with Indiana Pacers. and was in basketball operations intern. The trajectory path to be a GM, and I just got there and I didn't like it. I didn't enjoy it. It was for better or for worse, just didn't suit my skill set and my desires. It was just kind of a 9 to 5 cubicle job, crunching numbers on Excel. And it was interesting making like the draft books and draft boards. And like I was working with analytics of draft prospects, which I found pretty interesting, but it was too much of the like mundane and the same thing every day. And you weren't even actually like on the court interacting. Like so after that summer, it was like a real kind of like epiphany for me where it's like, oh wow, like this whole thing, your dream, your whole life is like not what you really want or what you thought it was. So yeah, then after that, I was like, whoa, like I had to go back to the drawing board and figure out what I really enjoyed. And it was a time for me where I was throwing things at walls, and I still am throwing things at walls, but like figuring out kind of like this like whole other identity, I guess. I was just like so caught up in that world where I still find myself and I enjoy the hoops, but definitely like more removed, or I don't know if removed is the right word, but yeah, definitely see it in a different light now and dance around it and get involved in it in different ways. So yeah, it was definitely an interesting time for me, kind of going from the Pacers back to Michigan State for my senior year and kind of being this like, whoa, like this isn't what I thought it would be or what I wanted. So
yeah, that's tough. It's funny because it's like it's a hard pill to swallow, but you need that where it's just like it's almost like they say like never meet your heroes type deals. It's like you have this dream of this job, and like the way that you kind of picture it being is not really what it is until you actually get into it and you're like, oh shit. This whole time. I thought I wanted this, but I really don't.
Yeah, no.
So then keep going.
Yeah, it's if you really want it, I mean, it just for me, it just wasn't my skill set. I'm more of a people person. I need to interact with people, and it's tough for me to kind of like sit behind a computer and and not interact with people. So
yeah. So moving past that one, then did you just say like, oh, okay, I'm out, or did you like because I think like at one point you had an opportunity to be with like CAA, right? Like Creative Artists Agency.
Yeah. So that was honestly a really interesting story. I got a job offer that because I was like, okay, I want to be around sports, but like be more in the marketing, brand partnerships, creative side of the athletes. So yeah, I got a job offer from CAA and accepted it. And then they did a background check and found that I was 2 credits short of graduation. From Michigan State. So, which I didn't know. I walked at graduation the whole 9.
Why'd they let you walk?
Dude, I really don't know.
That sounds like a them problem.
Yeah, no. So I had to actually go back for another semester to take like a 2 credit, or would I take a first aid class? Like the next following year, fall semester, to actually graduate. And then I lost the job at CAA, which honestly, looking back, is a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, it's supposed to happen like that.
Yeah, it's supposed to happen like that for sure. So, but yeah, I was kind of exploring that, and it's still a realm that I'm super interested in. But that kind of like agency, marketing, creative around the game of basketball.
And that was when you were, like you said, you hadn't even officially completed college, so you hadn't like moved to NYC or anything yet, or anything, like hadn't really started any companies. Or anything.
No, I haven't. I mean, companies wise, like looking back, I was kind of hustling in middle school. Honestly, I was making burnt CDs and like selling burnt CDs in middle school, just straight LimeWire. So that was kind of like my first like dollar I made. So it's kind of been ingrained in me from the jump, but I didn't really like think of it all too seriously. And then in college, like towards the end of my college career, I was like playing around with a clothing brand concept that actually never launched, but it was like kind of my first time like digging into business and like thinking through all the aspects of it and what it takes to go from ideation to execution. And then from there, it's just like after I graduated college, I actually moved out to LA with my friend Drew. And we were helping Devin with just kind of like creative video, photo stuff, and just getting my feet wet in that kind of world where the content creation, like creative strategy, that type of stuff. I was, like I said, it was during that time where I was just kind of exploring what I enjoyed and what I didn't enjoy, and
And for anybody that doesn't know, Casey is good friends with Devin Booker, who currently plays for the Phoenix Suns. He's actually from Grand Rapids as well. So Devin actually reached out to you, or no, you reached out to Devin, right? When you wanted to like get his content.
I was just like, yo, we should start filming.
This was like 2018.
Yeah, a while ago.
Early,
Wow,
yeah.
that's early. Yeah,
Yeah.
wow. Yeah, around there, we're just like, hey, yo, kind of like the Kanye documentary vibe, but like, hey, even
Yeah.
if you're not like posting these, let's get a camera behind the scenes because I mean, he knew and I knew at the time like
Everybody,
where he
yeah.
was going and
Everybody
what,
in the camp knew.
yeah, what he was gonna do, and
For sure.
so yeah, so that was kind of like he's like, yeah, move out to LA for the off season, and let's, you know, what I mean, let's create some content. So,
How long were you in LA?
I was only in LA for 5 months, maybe.
What
Just
did you like
4 or 5
living
months.
there?
I did. I liked it. I
Yeah.
think I spent some time in New York too. I think I liked New York better for like where I am at currently. I don't know. I like both. I really actually do enjoy both. There's so many people that's like LA, like no, I hate New York, and New
Yeah.
York's like fuck LA.
It's like
But
Tupac, Biggie.
yeah, it's literally beef. But it's like I love both. Honestly, I love. There's yeah, but I think where I'm at, New York, like in the time, like I think raising a family, maybe LA for sure, more space and climate and beach and mountains. But New York, something about the energy there and the people I met there, and I don't know, it's contagious. It's like when I'm there, I'm like, I never want to leave here. So,
Yeah.
but I did like LA too as well.
So you were in LA before you moved to New York for that, like before you started like off the record and
Yeah,
stuff? Okay.
So I was in LA, yep, and then from LA, I don't remember. I moved home for a few months, and
Okay.
then
Just because?
yeah, just because, and then I
Nice.
moved from yeah. Then that's when I landed a job in New York City and moved there with a few of my friends. It's like 2019.
And
Like,
Ben was one of those
yep,
roommates, right? Yeah.
yep. So I had two roommates from Grand Rapids in New York, and then one named George who lived is from New York, upstate New York or Connecticut, and then lived in New York as well. So it was the four of us.
Nice. So did because I know you and Ben started off the record that
Yep.
phoneless event company.
Yep.
But was that like partially your other roommates too? Or was it just you and Ben?
Yeah, George helped, Joel helped. I mean, it was a collab effort. It was Ben and I kind of heading it, but yeah, George definitely helped financials and selling tickets, getting people there. Joel was helping. Yeah, I mean, it was just a house full of I mean, energy. Creative energy that everyone definitely played a part in making it happen.
Yeah, I feel like that was your first real like, cannonball into the business space because you guys, had your own logo. You had like you were selling tickets. You're having to like actually think about like profits and losses, like how much are we going to spend on this? Probably pooling money together. I'm assuming. Probably both like all.
Yeah, it was definitely like.
In.
We learned that you had to do that during that. You know what I mean? It was still like naive, just like let's just throw it and see what happens. And it started to get a little bit more like, okay, what's our P&Ls and that type of stuff. And I think that's kind of when it fizzled out. It's more of a thing like I've taken stabs at things where it's like I've learned through that process everything that I know now. But yeah, that was more of like a not happy go lucky, but just like kind of like very optimistic, like this is just fun. Like we're not gonna like put pressure on this to like make it an actual, like just eliminate the pressure and just make it fun.
I mean, I feel like that makes it more like you can kind of like do more things when you're not so focused on like the early statistics too early when it's just you're doing it because you love to do it and you're gonna make it happen however you need to make it happen.
Yeah, and that's kind of where it was. It was like this experimental playground, but through there I was like, I learned how to do merch, and like out came Feelmore Club, and like
exactly.
I had the disposable cameras there. Out came Strap, like you know what I mean. I just kind of learned within kind of that like play a lot of things, and I'm like, oh, this interests me as well. Like why I kind of brought it to off the record. So yeah, it was kind of like this like breeding ground of like just learning, exploring, and trying things out.
Absolutely, you need those trials and tribulations when you go to create your other companies because all these people that have companies like. 9 times out of 10, if they're entrepreneurs, they've started other companies before their company blew up.
1,000%.
So it's like these are like things that you needed. Those like the kind of throwing the spaghetti at the wall, for lack of a better term, and like kind of doing this with the other companies, like you mentioned.
Yep.
Like going into your next endeavors, like those things that you learned doing off the record helped you, build these with a better, starting platform
for sure.
So
we were actually just talking about that. I was on a podcast a few days ago, but we were kind of talking about this similar kind of thing where it's like majority of like entrepreneurs, like successful ones, like are later and they're like, they're like 30s, 40s, but they've tried like multiple different things prior and kind of
10
like
years worth.
And like learned a lot through it. Like, you'll get your 23-year-old genius that like is able to build, $1 billion company, and those are like just rare savants, but like majority of people are like multiple attempt entrepreneurs that tried, failed, learned, explored, got their hands dirty and learned and was able to kind of like take those learnings and only expedite and make the next kind of thing endeavor. More efficient and less, more efficient, I guess is the right word.
Yeah, less what's it called? Like almost like barriers to entry. Like you kind of like already had these things down. So it's just like you knew where you need to go right off top. So it's like then it was just the intricacies of the different industries that you're getting into because they're all in like kind of different industries, even though
Yeah,
you can technically like bind them all together
for
in like
sure.
one event and it would still be
And
relevant.
you learn too, like
But
business is like, yeah, the ideas and things change, but like almost the core essence of business is the same. Like you need finance, you need accounting. You know what I mean? It's like a lot of it's the same. It's just like you're selling a different product and or service. And yeah, sometimes it may change a little bit, but a lot of it's just like copy and paste majority of what I've already learned and done. And like, yeah, the product or service I'm selling changes, but a lot of the principles honestly are the same across, whatever you're running. So you can take like those learnings and make the next one, get it up and running faster, quicker. I
exactly.
used the analogy on the last podcast too, but like I almost see it like a building a transformer. Like you learn how to build these parts and now you have like a really good like arm and a really good leg and
Yeah.
like you didn't have the good head or like, you didn't
It's
have
the
like the good
Iron
already,
Giant.
literally. And like now you know how to assemble it and you
Yeah.
have these parts that like, oh, the next one, like this was the head I was missing from over here that I learned how to build during this. You know what I mean? Now you have this
This
like
endeavor, yeah.
transformer that is like you can build super fast and like runs and works, but it was through like the other ones that you learned, like, oh, this is how you make the best fingers. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like you
totally.
through those trials and tribulations, you kind of learn. And now it's like, oh, I can just like copy and paste all this stuff that I learned and then add the new, add the new thing.
For sure, and I mean, you have a lot of, companies. I mean, we should, like, go from, like, earliest to latest to now where you're at, like, Strap. Let's
Yeah.
just go through the list.
I guess oldest, we could go way back. Like I said, burning CDs was like kind of like
Love
the
that.
first hustle. And then the clothing brand, I never launched it, but it was called Medita. Which Medita means like sympathetic joy, like you receive happiness by making other people happy. But the issue that I saw there, and I never launched it, was like this transparency with nonprofits, I guess, but like where's your money going? And like I want to see, like I gave you money, like I want to see where my money is being spent and the transparency between that. So the idea was just like a clothing brand that had that we'd fundraise different moments. If that was like providing computers or a basketball court to a school. Yeah, a school, say IE is a basketball court. We launched the shirt. You know what you're buying. You know where the money's going, that we're doing it. Once we sell X amount of shirts that we need to fund it, that t-shirt's no longer made, that's closed. And then the tags on each shirt had a QR code that you would then scan and you could see the videos and photos of us actually, actually fulfilling the thing that we said you're going to get. So like
That's crazy.
you and the
Yeah.
200 people have that shirt, but you can scan it and and have access to the footage. I never launched it, but that was kind of like my first, like, okay, here's the issue I see. I can solve it through clothes and QR codes and unique tags. So that was the next kind of like incubator ideation.
Which on that note, that reminds me of, like, the Strap.
Yeah, strap. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I learned QR
That's so
codes, and yeah,
funny.
it's crazy how
Yeah,
like they
yeah,
get recycled and
yeah.
work in different places. And then I'm trying to think. Wow.
So now we're kind of, like, getting the high school, college days.
Yeah, that was like later college, and
Oh, that was
then
later
yeah,
college, okay.
that was like 2017, 18,
Okay.
and then afterwards, I mean, we're doing like freelance with book. Like that was kind of like not running your own business, but like working on your own terms and like showing up, creating content, and like you didn't really have a real boss.
Yeah.
You were the ones like making the content. So that I wouldn't say that's like was the business. And then I started dropping, or was it off the record? I don't do they so they combined honestly, but then it was off the record. I moved to New York, off the record. I think we finally threw like I think 4 or 5 of those. But that was a no phone concert series where
Yep.
the issue that I saw was like everyone's addicted to their phones and you go to concerts and everyone's taking stories and it's just like, wait, can we actually just be present and provide a space where everyone's off their phone and artists can play new music and I don't know, just a place to like kind of connect and explore. So we threw these concerts called Off the Record that we did a phone check instead of a coat check in our backyard in the West Village, which was amazing and a vibe.
Yeah, and then that kind of has like a proven business model as well, because like there's other companies in the United States doing those types of events where they're like limited space, kind of like last minute sometimes, like
Yeah. It's kind of like
so
So Far
so
So yeah, So Far Sounds
exactly,
was
so
kind
far
of like,
sounds.
yeah, that same
Yeah,
kind of it was
yeah,
basically So Far Sounds without
phones.
phones,
Yeah,
was basically the idea and concept, but it was awesome and it was amazing. And then from there stems, honestly, Feel More Club, which was my clothing line that still runs. I don't really spend much time on it.
that's exclusive drops.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
exclusive drops. I've probably dropped maybe 5 or 6 different drops. But that just stemmed from like me journaling, writing, wanting merchandise that felt good when I wore it and had a message and like people reading it or feeling it can be empowered. Um, so I started Feel More Club where it's just like, let's feel more. Let's, what I mean? Let's create clothes that make you feel and think. And um, so I've done, yeah, sporadic drops there. And like I said, I've got probably 5 or 6 different drops. But I'll always have that and get back to it. I have a bunch of designs in the vault that I haven't even like explored yet. And that's fun. I love clothes. So
yeah, that one's less of like a try to make money off of. It's just a passion project,
yeah,
kind of.
exactly.
Yeah,
And a lot of them are like passion
passion
projects,
projects. Yeah,
honestly. It wasn't even like to make a bunch of money. It was just
totally.
like, hey, I was on the last podcast we talked about it. It's almost like my therapy. It's like, how can I get like pieces of me like out into the world? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like my way to like express, like get things off my chest or express or create like environments and products and spaces that make me happy, that make me feel, you know what I mean? So it's almost like my like therapy. It's like that's my outlet, that's my art, is like to create business around kind of that. So then speaking of passion projects, another one was Sincerely, which I've only done one drop, which I really want to bring back. Is actually one of my favorite ideas, but it was an anonymous journal where I just basically gave a prompt on a website. What's the best thing that's ever happened to you? And allowed people to submit anonymous responses to that. And then I
that's
took
pretty
all those
sick.
responses and created a magazine, like a coffee table book with all of them. But it's so cool to just like read through and not know who wrote them, but they're like so powerful. Some are just like so simple, like music or like my dog or like, and then like one was like a long essay about how like this girl had, or I think it was a girl, she had like a bunch of student loan debt and like her parents got divorced or something, and like her dad could like her mom couldn't even take care of herself, so she had to
Wow.
move up, basically drop out of school, move home, like, but she was still in school and had to pay the loans. And then just like one day, just randomly like got on her to pay her student loans, and someone paid it for her. And like she's
Whoa.
like, I have no idea who paid these loans for me, and I'm forever grateful. And like that's probably one of the best things that ever happened to me. So it's cool because I could be saying the story to like you, and it could be you that wrote it, but it's
Yeah,
like,
right.
yeah, I
Because it's
mean, like,
anonymous.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
anonymous, so it's
right.
like that was really cool, and I have the second one. I haven't like mocked up and designed, but I haven't released it. But it was, what's a song lyric that resonates within you and why? So it's
Mm,
really cool to like see people's like song lyrics, and then they also wrote like a little
why?
paragraph on
Yeah,
like
yeah,
why
yeah.
I resonate with this. And we have some really cool designs to launch that, but that's kind of been on those prompts were probably like 2 years ago, honestly. So it'd be really interesting to
Yeah,
go back and read. But that's Sincerely, which I'll all these I'll get back to for sure and
totally.
like do them at scale. But yeah, there's basically anonymous journal where it's like, how can I like create this cool space where I can like express myself with not even a mask on, but like behind, you know what I mean? Tell raw and authentic stories like behind a door, but like, it's also with other people. And I'm also part of this physical book that I can then buy and put on, you know what I mean? It's just
Yeah.
that something about that is like very intriguing to me, of like providing this space that you can like write and be raw and authentic. And then also like kind of be part of this like compilation of like other people being raw and authentic, and read them. And
Yeah, I
that's
think
it.
that'd
And
be cool, man. I could even see that being like, volumes, where
no,
it's just
that's
like
exactly what it is.
volume
Yeah.
1's like like certain types of
Yeah, so volume
prompts.
1 and volume 2, yeah, it was
Yeah.
2 is gonna be the music one, and then just, like,
Yeah.
the scalability is, yeah, just, like, coming up with different prompts that, like, initiate different responses and
Yeah, that's sweet.
curating those, so
Yeah, you could even make those into ebooks,
mhm.
bro.
That's what it'd be too, ebooks and then physical, because physical is kinda hard to, like, make,
Totally.
like, especially with minimums, and I mean, as it scales, it
Yeah,
makes sense, but, yeah,
definitely have to
ebooks and
partner
yeah,
with
would
somebody.
probably make the most sense. Trying to think what else. Wow. Um
After Sincerely. And what year
Sincerely
was
off that
Sincerely?
was,
What
like,
is that?
Sincerely Off the Records. It was the same
Oh,
time
it's
when I was in New
same time?
York, yeah, like
Okay, yeah, yeah.
2019,
Yeah, right before
into
COVID.
2020, yep. And then 2020, I created a music sharing platform called Pulse.
Yes.
Which is
Shareyourpulse.com.
shareyourpulse.com is
Hell yeah.
still up and running. The idea was always to make it to an iOS app. But that one was like, okay, I express myself best through music. Like I love to share music, and that's like my way of expressing how I feel. You know what I mean? It's just my love language almost in a sense. And like
Yeah.
this explains how I feel or what I'm feeling better than I can. But it's like the issue that I saw was like, okay, like this song resonates with me, but how do I share it? Like I can send it to individual people that I think will enjoy it. I can post it on my Instagram story, but like people on there don't really care. Like, why isn't there a platform where I can just share the song that resonates with me today? And it doesn't matter if you use Spotify or Apple, it links to whatever one you use and you can preview it. And then if you like it, click the logo and it takes you to the full song. So yeah,
Absolutely.
just a music sharing platform where built for the people that like to express themselves through music. And so I launched that, like 2 years ago, but it's still being used on the daily. I mean,
Yeah.
not a lot of people post. It's honestly just turned into like my close friends that share on there. You know what I mean? And
Yeah, that's one of my favorite ideas that you've had is that Pulse one. I think
yeah,
that's like, and we even like saw this like a while ago, and we were kind of looking into like if there's anyone else that's even done something like
yeah,
that,
yeah,
and
yeah,
there are, but just not like Pulse.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
think that's the difference where it's like,
yeah.
yeah, there's something about that that I feel like once that does have like the backing and like the ability to get on the App Store, I think that's gonna like be
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, that one's I mean, I'm happy and content with it now, like, just my friends using it, like, I
Totally.
really
Yeah.
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 I kinda just, like, selfishly build it too, where it's like, "I like
Yeah.
your music, like, get on this so I can steal the music you like." You know what I mean? So
And absolutely no,
yeah.
and I think as people kind of transition out of social media, I do feel like there's like a shift of like people kind of like thinking like social media is a little bit too much or like
Yeah.
limiting themselves for real or like deleting it altogether,
Yeah.
just going ghost for months. Like that's like a thing that people do now for their mental health.
Yeah.
And I think that an app like that where it's less geared towards like the social aspect of like sharing your, your vacations
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
stuff. It's more so like sharing how you feel today through music.
Through music,
And
yeah.
that's just like people can like see like your personality through the music in the posts that you share.
1,000%. But yeah, no, and also, like, I always wanted to limit it to one song, where it's like, sometimes, like, when I get sent a bunch of songs, it's like, okay, it's kinda, like, overwhelming and, like, a lot to digest, but, like,
Yeah.
one song, I listen to it. You know what I mean? It's like limiting it to that too, where it's like, it's short, sweet. Oh, I follow only 8 people. Here's my 8 songs I got from them. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not something that's like doom scrolling and like keeping you hooked and like you're always on it. It's like, no, like I got my music for the day. I expressed myself and it's just like on to the next.
Yeah.
So I was trying to be conscious on like not making this like attention grabbing, like keep you sucked in. How can we keep you addicted to this app kind of deal?
Yeah.
That everyone else kind of plays that game. So
For sure. So Pulse was this was 2019, 2020
that was
or
2020. I was building out
2020?
like start of COVID.
Okay.
Um, yeah,
Nice.
start of COVID at home.
And then
So,
after that, what was the next like endeavor?
therapy. So off the record stopped in during COVID. My friends and I love electronic music, dance music. We love going to clubs.
Yeah.
Just for the music and the environment, and that was obviously not a thing during COVID. So we started throwing these silent discos on top of people's rooftops, and there's a vibe. It was more just like bringing friends together, and we have multiple friends that DJ and are good at
Yeah,
DJing.
that's
So,
cool, yeah.
yeah, we just kind of like scaled that business into like, yeah, just like renting out rooftops and having friends' apartments and clubs in Chicago. We've done Chicago, Grand Rapids, Detroit. Um, but yeah, that was kind of like COVID into like still going now, actually. Just, yeah, this kind of like pop up, rent out a club or rooftop and host dance music. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
have people have a good time. And um, yeah, and I named it therapy just because it felt like therapy. You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
need that kind of like
exactly.
release, that dancing, that I don't know, being around people. Like it's funny, Fred made a song like We Lost Dancing. You know what I mean? There's
Mhm,
about
mhm.
COVID where like we lost this that's like so instrumental in my life and other people's lives, just like getting together and dancing and yeah, about the company. So that yeah, therapy stemmed from kind of like this like hunker down COVID time that we needed a release. We needed something, some place to go dance. So we made these small intimate events and yeah, scaled that to multiple cities and it was super fun.
When you were doing those, did you get a lot of people that were like random too, or like people that you didn't know that just like saw the event, like,
Yeah, I mean, we
or
wouldn't have like a lot of these places we couldn't have like more than 50 people,
Oh, wow.
100
So it was like
people.
small
So
cap.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, so it was basically like, hey friends, like here's the ticket
Totally.
link. Like if it's not sold out, then we'll
Which makes it more fun because it's like all homies
no, it's
getting
literally all
together,
homies. That's
and
literally what it
yeah,
was.
so
Like
that's
it's either
even
like
better.
all your friends or like at least friends of friends that they
Yeah.
sent the link to as well. So
Yeah. And in COVID, people were like kind of skeptical about going out. So it's just like when
exactly.
it's your homies, you're like, yes, finally I
no,
can go
literally.
out and like
Yeah.
not feel weird.
Yeah, no, for sure. So that was fun. We
That's
did, yeah,
cool.
that was fun. And just the meaning behind it, and made merch, and a lot of it was kind of like off the record in that sense of like these pop-up concerts.
Yeah.
But instead of kind of like singer-songwriter, is more electronic. And
Was that no phones as well?
no, that was not no
That was
phones.
okay.
Yeah, that
So
was with phones. So
yeah.
yeah, that was yeah.
So then moving on from therapy,
Yeah, therapy came honestly Strap.
Strap was next.
Where we're at now. So that was we ideated Strap when it was like March or April of like 2021.
Yeah.
So like yeah, wow, yeah, that was the next one. That was just that stemmed from honestly like looking back, it was off the record having those cameras, which was basically the party pack before it was the party pack, but also I went to this place in Miami and they had a vending machine of film and the vending machine didn't even work. And I was like, oh, that's genius. And they're like, this doesn't work. And I was like, okay, never mind. Yeah, I mean, this is the best idea ever. And I was like, okay, never mind. Like I called Matt and I've been trying to work together for a long time. So I was like, I got it. I got the idea. And obviously that was just like the seed that planted. And obviously it grew and sprouted into what it is now, but kind of like that initial, like, oh, whoa, this works and clicks and checks out. So yeah, then Strap is my most recent one, and honestly, what I spend all my time on. So
yes, absolutely. And everybody that doesn't know, Strap Photo Club is a company. It's a disposable camera company that you can purchase your one-time camera, one-time use camera, disposable, and you can get the scans sent to your phone as soon as you're done. It's a very easy registration process. We're working on getting a little Strap sponsorship for the On Mars pod.
Yeah, we need that.
But yeah, Strap Photo Club, check that out because I think that's a really like progressive company like for right now. Like I think people are getting back into film. It's a real like niche market, but I think that like there's a lot of people starting to really get into that niche market. They're like started to kind of like it's going back to like the older like 90s, like people are addicted to nostalgia, it feels like. And that's just like a big
craving
thing.
it, honestly.
Yeah. So it's funny because like kind of tying back to what we were saying before, where it's just like past things in your life that kind of like make sense later. Like I was talking about this with Akili too, like when you become an adult, like you kind of look at like your past as a kid and growing up, and then you start to like make connections like, oh, that makes sense why that happened. So like the same way, like makes sense why you started those companies back in the day with like the QR code, and makes sense why, you know, you did all this stuff. And so I feel like that's a big thing when it comes to Strap too, because there's just like so much that you learn to be able to bring it to that level.
Yeah, it's like I said this on another podcast, so it sounds like repetitive, but
Hey,
it's like something that I always like tell other people is like follow your curiosities, like just get the idea like from your head, like on paper or like a Google Docs or like whatever, like, I mean, out of your head and down, and explore it and like go as far as you can until like A, you get stuck and keep going, or B, you're just not interested anymore. But I learned like I just like when I do that and I follow my curiosity, I'll hit a dead end. But like there's a road like right before the dead end that's like, oh, like this goes over this way. And like I learned this part of this process. So like, so I can like jet this way now, but I wouldn't have gotten to this road if I didn't go down this other road. And now it's like, oh, like I passed this house down that road that you know what I mean? It's like, just like following it and going and like being malleable. And like, I use the analogy on the other one, like a tributary where it's like, just like, you know what I mean? Sometimes it ends and like there's other branches that come off of it, but it's like, you look back, it's like, oh, I learned what I was supposed to learn, and it brought me to where I am now. And it's like, oh yeah, it's all the experiences that you've had, but it's that initial push to like at least go try, like at least try to make it happen. Like what if, you know what I mean? Like even play that what if of like, what if I try to make it real? And then you learn like, oh, like I have to do X, Y, Z to do that. And it's like, what is X? You know what I mean? It's like, then you're digging into X and you're like, oh yeah. So it's follow your curiosities, and just like me, just like make, even if it was just one magazine, sincerely, like, oh, I learned how to like source magazines, make magazines, create a website with anonymous prompts, like, and it's just a one-time thing. And obviously it can be a thing moving forward, but it's just like, yeah, there's like no pressure. Like, let me just explore, play. And like through that play, it's just like, oh, I really like this part of it, or this now ties. And who knows, sincerely might be a part of something going forward. It's like, oh, I already have the infrastructure here that works. So,
yeah, it's like
yeah.
throwing spaghetti at the wall.
Yeah, no, literally.
Yeah, for real. But it's like throwing like finally made spaghetti.
Yeah,
yeah. You're not
Gourmet.
just throwing. Yeah, you're not throwing just some bullshit at the wall. You know, it's like some good stuff that I can actually like stick.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even like kind of tying back to like when you were doing Off the Record, when you guys were you would buy the Fuji films that you currently use for Strap, which is so funny because there's like that picture that you had posted where it's just like a bunch of Fuji films with like duct tape on them.
No, literally.
And it's just like, take it and pass it.
Yeah,
like,
take one and
take it and pass it. Like, you know, like basically like take pictures and just like leave it when you're done. Like that's Strap.
Yeah,
you know?
literally.
Like, that was like the seed for Strap before it was really a thing.
Yeah.
So it's like when you saw the opportunity to get into film cameras, like for real, you like kind of just brought back that same mentality.
Yeah.
Just like,
yeah. And the thing is, I didn't even like think of that. I got sent the photo and I was just like, oh wow. Like, yeah. Just like mind blowing. Yeah. It makes sense. But it's like, yeah, it's crazy. It's just like, you could have been doing the idea or the thing for so long, but like it just maybe not the right time, place for that idea to like come to fruition. Then you look back, you're like, oh, that makes sense why that happened or this. Yeah. It's just very interesting of like, just when you're called to do something or like, oh, this like gives me energy thinking about it, like make it happen, make it real, put it out there. And like, who cares if that's all it is? You know what I mean? And it could end there, but you never know, kind of like exercising that, like making it real, like more ideas come to you, and maybe getting to like the fine spaghetti noodles is like, you need like to get the shitty ones. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Like,
yeah.
When you throw shitty, you need like just the act of throwing is more important, honestly, than the, the act of throwing is almost more important than like if the spaghetti sticks at first.
Yeah.
Like, you need to learn how to throw the spaghetti at the wall. You know what I mean? It's
for
like,
sure. Yeah.
Like it's not even, so it's like,
I'm going to pause this real quick. These dogs are going crazy. I don't know if we can hear this in the audio, but I really hope we can. We had to do a cut here because these dogs were freaking out. So that's why little Theo is up here with us now.
Let's get it, Theo.
He's in trouble, but no, he's a good boy. But yeah, so it's so important to have those experiences of like throwing spaghetti at the wall, especially like if you want to have a business one day. Like you can't like just have this idea and kind of what we were saying earlier, like you need to have the trials and tribulations. So it's like if you do a business and it doesn't go well and it's not successful, it's like you don't want to get discouraged, and you need to have that hard mindset of just like, if this doesn't work, I'll be okay and I'll move on and do something else. And that's just how it always has to be. And do you feel like that's true? Like if you would have like got discouraged, you would have never made all those other companies.
Yeah, no, 1,000%. And I think that's where like, I think the play is so important. Like having fun, falling on your face. You know what I mean? Like sometimes people like, I don't know, learning how to ice skate or snowboard, like you're still smiling, like you're eating it, but like you're still smiling because I really enjoy it. And like the art of like learning something new, like if I didn't fall on my face, that means I'm not getting outside my comfort zone. And
absolutely,
it's even like that imposter syndrome. It's like I have imposter syndrome so bad, but it's like I look at it almost as a blessing because it's like that means I'm outside my comfort zone. That means I'm in a space that like I don't feel like I'm as knowledgeable as I need to be. But like that's also I'm learning to like really love being in that place because it's like, oh, that means I'm pushing. That means I'm like expanding my boundaries and my horizons. And like, there's some times where I'm like, chill, like stop being so hard on yourself. Like you're not going to know everything. And the more you learn, the more you don't learn, you don't know, you know? So it's like, but like it means you're growing and pushing. And so I don't even, there's times when it gets like very hard and like you get frustrated. And there's times when I just want to like throw it in and quit. But it's like, you got to have that like, you always got to be reminded why you're doing it in the play and learning and making sure you're always in that space. Not saying it's always going to be peaches and cream and there's going to be mundane days and boring days and tough days and days where you're trying to fix a developer for free. You know what I mean? It's like, there's things that just like get thrown in, but it's, you got to learn how to like love the process and the journey of just like learning and growing and expanding. And like I said, if there's no kind of like ruffles, then like, that's just a sign I'm not pushing myself or like learning or expanding. So I always try to kind of, I think it's that fine line of like competence, but like pushing, you know what I mean? Like being comfortable. Like, I don't know. There's that fine line where if like it's so hard, you give up. Like it's like this is impossible. Like there's no chance I'm even like getting there. But like you also don't want to be on the far end where like this is a piece of cake I could do with my eyes closed. So it's like I don't know what that fine line is of like that tightrope of like, oh, I feel a little bit uncomfortable and it's like getting me outside my comfort zone. I'm learning, but also like I have the confidence I can put my foot in front of the next and keep going. And like I got my, you know what I mean? I got me. So
totally. And I mean, it also kind of like is that's the difference between like people who like get to a certain place and then kick their feet up, you
yeah,
know, where they do like they want to get to that comfort zone. You know, and
yeah,
I think that's when you start to like go backwards, you know,
yeah,
when you
yeah,
kind of like think that you're good.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then,
yeah,
then it's just like then you start to decline
yep,
versus
yep,
like when you're doing like the foot in front of the other, like even if it's like one step at a time and like maybe you have to take a couple steps back,
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah,
then you like take 5 steps forward, that kind of deal. Like when you have that mindset versus like kicking your feet up altogether, I think you get a lot farther.
for sure. And then you get also like the journey versus the destination too, where like
Totally.
if your end goal is like that destination, like I got here, like I made my X dollars or did X thing where it's like I'm kicking back, like this is what I wanted versus like the journey where like I have fun in that like learning. You know what I mean? I just
Yeah,
have fun just like learning something new and like making things. Yeah, I don't know. Like it's
totally.
more for me the play. It's more like the process
The
and the
process of
journey of like
making it, yeah.
actually doing it than it is like, oh, like and there's times where people are like, look what you've done, like look what you I should probably reflect more of like
Yeah.
look at everything you've done and
Give
built and
yourself
put
flowers.
yeah, give yourself flowers, but I'm really just like I like the like I don't know, it's just like I have fun in this kind of like unknown, like growing, expanding. I don't know. It's like yeah, there's times I'm like, wow, that's dope. Like yeah, I mean, I created XYZ. This person's using this product that I put out there, or like you get whatever feeling utility out of it. But yeah, I think I would just really enjoy the journey of it of
Yeah.
just like learning and like falling on my face a lot. But
Yeah,
yeah,
the
just
process of
learning.
creating.
Yeah, for sure.
Really, it's like, and it's funny because like ever since I've known you, I mean, I've only known you for about 2 years now, or maybe a little bit more than that. I don't even know how long, but either way, it's like I've only seen you as like someone's just like what's next, what's next, what's
Yeah,
next. It's never like a settled type of mindset, and it's like we're always talking about like your next ideas and like new ideas for Strap, new ideas for therapy, new ideas for Feel More Club. It's just like which is funny because like you could probably have like 10 successful companies and you'll always be like,
yeah,
what's
yeah.
next?
No, I probably honestly, I love like
But hey,
I think I'm a
man,
serial entrepreneur at heart. Like I just enjoy,
yeah,
like I said, I enjoy just like
the
building.
process,
Yeah, I
yeah,
enjoy like making things, and
yeah,
it's honestly Strap's done a good job for me. Where like let's stay focused because I have so many ideas
right,
that like everything that glitters is not gold, like type of deal. Where it's like, and also let's like stay hyper focused on one so we can fund the other ones, kind of. But it's also hard too, where like sometimes I just channel so much that it's like I gotta be like, nope, 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 nope. This is what I'm working on. This is what I'm doing. So that's a struggle for me too, is just like staying focused on keep the main thing, I guess.
totally.
Yeah.
And I know you're into like routine and meditation and all of that. Do you feel like that plays a really big part in like who you are as a business owner? Like, do you think like that the grounding that meditation gives you and like kind of like journaling and all that, like self-reflection, do you think that really helps you like run company?
Yeah. I think it helps every aspect of my life, to be honest. I don't really, yeah, definitely though. Yeah. It makes me like, gives me a baseline. It gives me this like, it allows me to go through the highs and lows of business and like
Mhm.
try to stay level headed and like, I practice like breathing techniques and other practices that like, yeah, they very mitigate because there's times where it's tough, like, and it's
Yeah.
hard, but I think it's done a good job personally and professionally, business, whatever, of like keeping me like level instead of like the highs and lows. And I
Totally.
think the journaling's helped me just like, there's so much in my head. It just helps me just like get that out, just like dump it somewhere. And it just like gets me back to baseline. You know what I mean? The
Yeah.
meditation and that both does. It's just like,
Resets.
yeah, it just resets. It gives me like this like level. It's almost like the leveler, you know? It's like it's just like,
Totally.
okay, let's make sure this table's level and then now we can eat on it, you know? So it's like each morning just like, yeah, leveling that out makes me um stay level headed. This makes me like more sturdy because yeah, because I do have sporadic times where I get like this high of high and low of lows. So um doing that I can definitely tell a difference. And it slows things down. It allows me to like be more creative, be more present, sit there with like processes and like think of like, oh, what about this? Or like, oh, maybe this person's experiencing this and like put, you know, what I mean, it slows life down for me. And I think it allows me to channel more ideas and have um better insights onto like, yeah, just ideas, honestly. Like I
Yeah.
think it like you have this like antenna of like a receptor of ideas, and it's a good job of just like kind of cleaning it off and like allowing you to channel all that. And sometimes it's a lot, and that's why sometimes I like to keep myself busy or like I'm in my phone because it's like I'm running from it. But like, you know what I mean? When I sit there and actually like go through it and feel it, and it's a necessary exercise for me for sure.
Yeah, with meditation, I mean, I know for anybody that's done or tried meditation, like it's not easy at
Yeah.
first. Nobody thinks it is. And for you, like, did it take you a while to like get into kind of like, I don't know, routine, I guess? And like, do you still maintain routine, or do you like, are you strict with yourself on that, or like, because it's so easy to miss a day or miss a couple days or something. So like, how
Yeah,
do you
I'm
feel
not
about
I'm
that?
not too hard on myself. I wish
Yeah.
I was a little bit more like,
Hmm.
"Hey, let's do this every day." I mean,
Hmm.
I do it a lot. And yeah, how I got into it was more just like the people I listen to and watch, they've like this really helps me. And it's probably like 4 or 5 years ago, honestly, of just like sit down and do nothing. Like the person I really like, his name's Naval Ravikant. But his thing is just like, hey, like you have tabs in your brain is an operating system, and you have so many tabs open in your brain. And I feel that. I'm like, I have so many things. Sit and do nothing for an hour a day for 60 days. And like you'll start to like revisit some tabs that are open from like 3rd grade. And it's like,
Wow.
oh, like I haven't even like sat and processed this. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
it's like I think about that, and I like it because it's just like it's not an hour a day is long and very hard, but it's more in the process of like just sit and do nothing. Like it eliminated like this, like, oh, like do this mantra, or like you're not doing this right. There's no right or wrong. Like just sit there. Like,
Yeah,
and I think if people tried, it's really hard to just sit and do nothing.
very much so.
Like
Yeah,
very tough. You get
especially when you get started. It's
1,000%.
like,
You're
yeah,
super
it's just
agitated, and like you think about this. Oh, I got to do this, or
yeah,
it's like it's very hard. So I think that helped me get into it. Where like some people
yeah.
are like, I don't know where to start. So and then there's a book called Mindfulness in Plain English that I read that like started that journey too, of just like mindfulness and like being with your thoughts and where are they coming from and stemming from.
Yeah.
Um and yoga, honestly,
Oh,
yoga,
yeah, for
like
sure.
yoga is just moving meditation for me. That I got into I was into a little bit of high school, but college, honestly. My roommate Roscoe and I used to go to East Lansing Hot Yoga, and like that was when I was just like, okay, this another form of meditation, or like baseline, like yoga. Like literally,
Yeah,
I couldn't praise yoga enough. Like it just
totally.
helps me. And I go here too. It's just like the best. Like same thing. Just like gets me to baseline, makes me so level headed, makes me love the little things in life. You know what I mean? It just makes me more attentive. It just helps
Yeah,
me in so many different ways, let alone your physical body flexibility, strength, the whole nine. Like it's more mental for me. And it does that. Journaling and meditation does that kind of like same. They all kind of like work together to like
absolutely.
multiply each other and help me definitely through personal and professional endeavors.
Absolutely, and it's just, like, mindfulness as a whole and, like, all 3 of those things, that's, like, really, like, the group that you can put those all into, and I think that's something that with meditation or sorry, with yoga rather, it's almost like, uh, meditation plus,
No, yeah, for
because it's
sure.
just like, when you're meditating, it's super easy to, like, get distracted in your
Yeah, yeah,
mind, and, a analogy that I heard, on Headspace, because I do
yep,
Headspace, they talk about at the beginning that you basically, like, you gotta think about, like, your mind is a highway, and, your thoughts are the cars on the highway.
yep.
So it's almost like when you're meditating, you need to just sit on the side of the street and just
See,
watch the
yeah,
cars go,
yep.
because, like, if you try to get in front of those thoughts, you're gonna get hit,
Yeah,
you
and
know?
sometimes you hop in the car not even knowing you hopped in the car,
And then
and
you're
you took that 3 exits
totally
down, and but
yeah,
I think the meditation is good where it's like, then you notice, "Oh, I got in the car. Like,
yeah.
let me get back to the
Get
side of the
back on the
road."
s
And
that's it,
it's like
yeah.
that art of like, "Oh, I got on this car. Wow, I gotta get back." You know what I mean? Like, and just like not beating yourself, it's yeah, it's just being aware of like, "Oh, I hopped on this train of thought. I'm thinking about the groceries I had to go to buy after this podcast." Like, you know what I mean? It's like, but you're realizing then, yeah, going back to center, being like, "Oh." And it's not like beating yourself up for it. It's like you're aware of your thoughts, which is the whole point. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And then when you start doing that, now you're like, oh, like you almost feeling thoughts arising, like, oh, I'm feeling angry, or I'm feeling, you know what I mean? And you're almost that like removed, you're not tied to the emotion anymore. Now you're like the back seat of the emotion. You're watching the car go by. That is anger, and you're not reacting to it. And I think it's super powerful. Yeah, I like that analogy a lot.
Yeah, it's kind of just like getting in your own way type of deal. Is kind of how I think about it too. Where it's just like a lot of times, like when you're intending to meditate and be centered, it's just like you get in your own way and just like cloud your mind up. So by the end of the meditation, you don't really get the full benefit of it.
Yeah,
But
but
it's
I
just
think
like
that's
that
the
comes with
benefit,
time.
though.
Yeah, when you're right.
Sometimes, yeah,
You're
sometimes
right.
it
You're
is.
totally right. It's like the process of going through it and
Yeah,
sitting down, even if
it's uncomfortable.
even if it's uncomfortable and it's
Yeah,
hard. And that's like kind of what I talk about when I say like at the beginning. And it's funny because I was on meditation for a long time, months, and I'd recently got back into it like probably a few months ago. And it's not every day, but it's like probably like five
yeah,
days a
yeah,
week, probably on average, I would say. And I do still have times that I find myself getting distracted. I
yeah,
find myself kind of getting lost where I need to like, hey, distraction
yeah, yeah, yeah.
back,
Back to yeah,
back to
yeah,
center, back to the breath, counting the breaths, the 1, 2, like the in out,
yeah, yeah,
going up to 10, coming back,
yeah,
and kind of like talking back on like yoga. That the reason why I said like meditation plus is because it gives your mind something to do and focus on. So it's harder to get distracted
yeah.
because you're focused
And
on
that's
your
why people do have the
balance.
mantras and the
Yeah,
things that bring them back to center. It's like staring at the same point on a wall, or
totally.
focusing on the nasal one point in your nose that you feel when you breathe in, or, I mean,
Yes.
it's like
Yeah.
that, like back to center point that, yeah, yoga has that distraction where it's like, yeah, it's a little bit easier to, I also think I also think meditation is interesting though, because it's a single player game. Like
Yeah.
you can't even see the game I'm playing. You can
Right.
gamify it of like, oh, I sat for 10 minutes, or like, oh, I did it for like this many days in a row, or like, it's almost like everyone wants to like, like prove, oh, not like prove, but like where meditation really is just an internal game that you can never like me versus you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like,
Totally.
it's a very interesting, like, yeah, it's not like reps on a pull up, or like, you know what I mean? It's very interesting
Yeah.
where it's just like, I mean, you can gamify it with like time sat and like I'm saying days, and like that's what people talk about, but it's like at the end of the day, it's just you and your thoughts, and like you don't know what I'm, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
it's super interesting in that
For
sense.
sure. And it's funny because like that's something that's no matter how many minutes and how many days you've done meditation, if you don't actually get like anything from the
Yeah, yeah,
practice,
yeah.
then you might as well not even be doing it. Or you're like, like if you're just doing it just to say you did it,
Yeah, 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 yeah,
it's
exactly.
like
Why you're
totally
doing it.
missing the
Yeah.
point of the
Yeah,
whole
yeah, yeah. Like
thing.
what, yeah, like what are you
It's
doing it for?
like,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And that's kind of going back to what we were talking about earlier, where it's just like doing like with intention and like like knowing why you're
Yeah.
doing things. Like when we were talking about the companies,
Yeah.
it's just like knowing why you're doing it.
Yeah.
It's just like, and that will bring you back to like the
Yeah.
doing it the right way and
Like
getting the
intention,
benefits.
yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
intention. I think that's
Yeah.
super huge. But
Yeah.
is are those types of things that you've learned? Like I know you watched other people and like kind of say like that, but I know you're like pretty big into like books and stuff like that too. So like, when you were like in high school, and like college, were you reading like self-help books and like the Napoleon Hills and like Think and Grow Rich and all that stuff,
Honestly,
or
no.
you weren't?
No, this has been like probably like 2018. After I graduated college,
Yeah.
honestly, was when I started to dive into reading. My
Yeah.
mom growing up would like pay me money to read, and I still wouldn't
Your
read.
mom was
Yeah, she's an English teacher, so
Oh,
she'd
yeah,
literally
yeah,
pay us
yeah.
kids if we read books. She'd pay us,
That's amazing.
and she couldn't catch me reading anything. So, it's all been like newer. Like it's all been like, yeah, kind of last like 4 years, honestly, 4 or 5 years, that it's
Yeah.
like diving into these books and figuring, like, I just found the books I like and I'm interested in and I'm curious about. And they just happen to be centered around kind of like philosophy and
Yeah.
mindfulness and business.
It's kinda cool though that you that it took you that long to get into it, because by the time you got into it, you were able to apply those principles.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
Because sometimes when you read it too early, like, they just, like, either
yeah,
go over your head or, like, you understand them, but they're just not applicable in your own life
yeah,
yet. And that's just I remember, like, I read Think and Grow Rich when I was 18,
yeah,
and it just, like, totally changed my life.
yeah, yeah,
But, like, at the time, it was like me still trying to shape what I wanted,
Yeah, yeah,
where it
yeah.
was just kind of like me like dipping my toe into what I really wanted to be and like what I wanted to do in life. And that's why I kind of started dipping into that,
Yeah, yeah.
Think and Grow Rich, shoot Smart Cuts. There's a couple other ones that I read at the time when I was
Yeah.
like young, 18,
Yeah,
19 years
yeah.
old, that like helped shape who I ended up becoming. But it's just like at the time though, it like it was almost like I would need to go back like 3, 4 years after that, read them again, and then I'd probably be able to like
Yeah.
really
And
apply
you honestly
those
pick up
principles.
on, like, good books you can reread, I feel like, very regularly and pick
Yeah,
up something, like,
new every
completely
time. Yeah,
different. Yeah, and, like, "Oh, this was supposed to stand out to me this time because it's
yeah.
applicable to, like, where I am." You know what I mean?
The
Like, the
perspective different.
yeah,
Yeah,
this paragraph's jumping off the page to me right now, but if I read it 3 years ago, I would totally just skim this and not even, like, you know what I mean? It's
yeah.
interesting, like, how it speaks to you when it's supposed to, and you get things from really good books. You can reread 10 times and get something new from it every single time,
Have
which
you ever like highlighted in a book or anything like that?
yeah, I used to, honestly. Now I
Yeah,
don't do it anymore.
yeah,
I more journal, like, on the side.
totally.
So, like, I really
So
like
taking notes.
yeah, taking notes is almost like a ladder almost. Like, it's like a jumping off point for me where it's like, I'll read and like, "Oh, whoa," like, this stop like, really good books for me, like, stop me in my tracks. Sometimes I'll not even read a page, and I'll
Yeah.
just be like, "Oh, whoa," like, this concept, boom. Just like now I'm just, like, working my own thoughts out on paper. Yeah, so I almost use them more for and honestly, a lot of my journals are stemmed from me reading books and, like, jumping off from, like, "Oh, this was just, like, teed me up to just" you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
this was the thought I needed or, like, the concept that, like, I can marinate in my head and now
Without having to read the entire book. It's
yeah,
just
and that
like,
sometimes that's
yeah,
all you need, and,
for
like, I
sure.
think even just having books laying around, it's like, let me just randomly open to a random page or
Page,
a
yeah.
paragraph that speaks to me and just read, and it's like, "Oh, whoa," like, this you know, what I mean, I don't need to read much, I can read a page, and I think that's it's like the meditation thing where it's almost like, "Oh, like, I read this many books," or, like, "I did this." It's like, "Nah," like, I can read 8 books at the same time, and I only read a paragraph, but I don't you know what I mean? Like, what's the
Yeah,
game? Like, what's the intention? And I think,
for sure.
for me, it's just like, give me these, like, thoughts or, like, tidbits that I'm like that, like, really, like, alter my way of thinking, and it's like, "Oh, whoa, this is a whole new way to think of this concept. Let me now, like, jot it and write it down."
Yeah, absolutely, and I think, when you write things down and you, like, just the act of writing them just helps it ingrain in your mind
Yep,
more, and in your own words as well. Like, you can almost, like, summarize, like, what you're reading in your
yep,
own words. I think that really helps the concept stick.
yep,
And then kind of what you're saying too, where, like, you can, say you read 10 books this year, but, like, what did you gain from them? How
yeah,
did you apply those principles
yeah.
in your
Or do
life?
you just wanna say you read
Or
10
did you
books?
just wanna have the record that you
Yeah. Like,
read
what's
10
your
books? And then
intention?
also, like, how much of those books did you actually read?
Yeah.
Were they audiobooks?
Yeah,
Were you
yeah.
just, like, listening to
Y
them and not really, like, taking them in, and
yeah, yeah,
were
yeah.
you distracted? And
Yeah,
it's just,
yeah.
like, I think the value comes from, like, reading passages that really stick to you or books that really stick to you if you do read a full book, or even if you are listening to audiobooks, it's like listening to them with intention as
Yep,
well, like listening to them and actually being able to, like, understand the principles. If you don't understand it, going back, listening
yep,
again, listening back over something, like, if you wanna hear it again, if you missed it,
yep,
at the time, like, if you found yourself distracted, going
yep.
back and
I
listening,
have to
it's
do that
like,
all the time.
yeah, it's
Or also,
important.
like, I don't like this book, I'm done reading it.
Yeah, totally.
3
What
3 chapters in, it's like, this doesn't even interest me
You don't
anymore,
need to
like,
finish
I
it.
think we're growing up in a society that was like, you start the book, you
Yeah.
finish the book, and, like, I hate this, and I'm not even wanna read.
Yeah,
That's what helped me kinda start to like reading. It's like, wait, I can start this book at chapter 17 if I want, and I don't have to finish this if I don't want. It's like,
exactly.
these are here just to, like, pick up and just, like, get a snippet of people's brain I mean, nonfiction, obviously fiction, you can do that,
Yeah,
but,
right,
like,
right.
nonfiction, it's like, "Oh, let me just, like, quick learn, like, dive into this person's brain that they spent years probably writing this book or learning." But, yeah, putting books down that, like, this sucks to me. Like,
Yeah,
I just put this down, it's a relief to me now too, where it's like, I don't have to every book I start, I don't need to finish, and I don't need to read one book at a time, like, it's this whole new world, and I'm like, "Whoa," like, I can just have books around me that I'm just like, "Oh, this title actually is sticking out to me for some reason. Let me" and I started actually going back to Barnes& and Nobles and actually bookstore. I love going to
nice.
bookstores when I travel because it's the
Yeah,
same thing. It's like, "Oh, wow, like, this book is just, like, sticking out to me for some reason, calling my name. Let me pick it up and flip it." Then I'm like, "Whoa, like, this is a you know what I mean?
mhm,
The universe, whatever, it's just like, this is, like, here supposed to be, and I'm drawn to this for some reason, and I found myself on this page now reading it." So,
yeah,
all these things kinda, like, helped me fall in love with reading, and, um honestly makes me want to write a book eventually. I mean, I have enough substance probably for a book in there, but
Totally.
I really enjoy that. So
Yeah, and it's funny because I think you could even take your journals and, like, turn it into, like, a book or
for
something
sure,
like that,
that's
where it's almost like the mind.
yeah. It's
Like
definitely like it's already like a coffee table book, honestly.
totally.
Yeah, I'll do something
Do you keep
physical.
them in a journal?
Yeah, but
Yeah,
honestly, I
nice.
did a bad job of like keeping my journals. I don't know where they are. Hopefully, my mom has them at the house,
Oh,
but
man.
like,
That'd be cool to go back and, like, really find those and,
yeah,
like
I mean, that's a really
yeah,
cool part of writing too. It's like,
totally.
what was I thinking at that time? And like,
Yeah.
oh wow, I was processing this thing that like now a year and a half later, like this was like way before. You know what I mean? It's like you see like patterns that are like, whoa, like I was struggling with that for this reason. Like I didn't see this. You know, what I mean,
Yeah.
it's very interesting, honestly.
Yeah, man. No, I love it. I feel like the story is like so like relatable to people that are creative professionals that like to read books, like to progress always. Because I feel like a lot of people around me, and this is the whole reason why I started this podcast. This is like because we can sit down and talk about this stuff forever. Because
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love it. It's just like what drives you, what helps you progress past those pain points. Like how do you like deal with like personal life too, like because those things, even though we're talking about business and how you can apply each principle to like business, but like you said, it's like business
they're
and
so
life.
intertwined. Yeah,
So it's just like meditation and centering yourself and just being like a little bit more present with yourself and being more aware of your breath and like like I remember at one point you were talking about like like loosening your shoulders and you
yeah,
know what I'm saying,
yeah,
like
thousand
stuff.
percent.
I think you like wrote it in your journal or
Yeah, yeah,
something
yeah.
like that, and it's
I
like
like that thought too. That I like to do that exercise. Honestly, when I go to before I go to bed, but it's like,
yeah,
how can I like make myself 1% more relaxed
yeah,
each breath?
nice,
And you just like get into this very like float like state before bed. Cause yeah, you just like think, okay, just like 1%. And it's like 1%'s a good number because it's not much. You know what I mean? It's not
yeah.
much, but it's like, yeah, that thought process of like, okay, unclench your jaw. Like, why is my, you know what I mean? My tongue, like, let it float, like relax. Like my shoulders, I'm so tight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm holding all this stress up. So I like that kind of thought process of just like, how can I make myself 1% more relaxed and like over a period of time? And then you finally get to this point where like, whoa, this is nice.
Yeah, man, and I really do feel like people that have that, like, discipline in a way, like, for lack of a better term, like, end up being very successful, and I think, like, the people that I watch and the people that I, see as, like, my virtual mentors in a way, I think that's kind of like a common thing is, like, people are into, going to therapy,
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about things, doing meditation, doing like eating right, like having routine, waking up early, going to bed on time,
yeah.
spending time with their family and like kind of organizing things to the point where like they're very like value based. Like
Yep.
their lives are a little bit more like value based. And I feel like you live a very value based life.
I appreciate that. I'm
Yeah, man.
definitely working on it still, but yeah, I've always room to grow and improve.
Always.
But yeah, I try to, and then you learn too, like there's a fine line between business and personal. Like I feel like you got to like like me trying to get to that next step in business is actually me personally like unlearning beliefs and thoughts and like, you know what I mean? It's like, it's more like an internal thing that like turns into like a business external. But I think a lot of times it's like, oh wow, like I'm capped in this business because I can't even like think different. I need to think and change my mind, which comes from, you know what I mean, other practices and being disciplined and like unlearning through therapy and being present through meditation and all these things is like, oh, I gotta like actually unlearn the things to relearn a different way to like actually reach that next level of business. You know what I mean? So like I see a lot of like similarities between business and personal, like how you think. It's literally like how you think and how you can comprehend things and to get to that unlock, like it's actually unlocking like ways you think personally. You know what I mean? If that makes sense.
Absolutely. No, 100%, man. And I think it's like there's always going to be that like overlap too when you are an entrepreneur. There's always going to be overlap between business and life, and like knowing how to have that balance I think is so crucial.
Yeah, I'm working on that for
It's
sure. Yeah,
tough. I
yeah.
mean,
It's very
I'm sure
like,
people that
yeah,
are
it's very
in 10 years
gray.
in the game, like they're still working
Oh,
on it,
it's yeah, it's like that's probably one of the hardest parts of running your own business is the gray area of like personal and like business, and it's always like intertwined and like always on my phone. I'm a call away from business. There's always an endless to-do list that you can do, and there's times where I literally physically have to shut off my phone and be like, "Hey, nope, for these 2 days, like I'm just off. I need it," and like, but I need to like force myself to do that. So it's definitely like a world that I'm struggling with, and definitely need to like learn from other people on how they best do it. But honestly, I like what I do too. So it's like who am I to say, like, if it hampers my relationships with other people, like there's a point where, but like, I love it. Like I like to work. Like I
totally.
love to do it and build. So like,
You enjoy the
who am I
process.
saying that like, oh, you work too much if I really enjoy what I'm doing and building? So it's like also that fine line of like, who's to say what's the right way to do it at the end of the day? It's like, yeah, to you, maybe I mean, do work a lot but if I enjoy it and I like building, like that's how I choose to spend my time.
Exactly.
You might choose to spend it to watch movies and not in a bad way. Like actually, like that's what you enjoy doing. And like, I do enjoy that sometimes, but I really enjoy business and ideas and like building and growth and expansion just through that. And that's just me personally. So it's just interesting. Yeah. About that. Cause speaking of like movies and TV shows, everyone's like, have you seen this?
Totally.
So like, honestly, no,
Yeah.
none of them, like ever. Everyone's like, no way. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. It's like, I was at dinner last night too. She's like, what's your plans this weekend? I'm like, honestly, like probably work all weekend. She's like, you good? I'm like, yeah, like I enjoy it. It's fun. But yeah. But yeah, it's definitely like a internal struggle where I'm trying to be more forgiving. But yeah, that balance is definitely hard to like navigate.
Do you feel like it's important though to like intentionally make time to like break away from work? Or do you,
Yeah, 1,000%. And that's where like my weekends of no, like I'll literally go no phone. Like I'll shut it off and put it away for 2 full days. And it's the reset I need. And then I could just come back so much more rejuvenated and ready to go for another 2-3 weeks. But it's so crucial for me to just, I have to force myself to, like, I'm making deliberate time and energy to not work and get off my phone. And it's funny because I work on my phone. Like, my phone is my work. Like, I think especially now, there's an interview that Virgil Abloh was talking about. I was like, I relate to that where he's like, I feel like I'm the first, like, phone first, like, designer. Like, you know what I mean? He's like, this is my computer. Like, you know what I mean? He's like, I don't really sit behind a laptop. Like, I'm like, obviously he's more hands and textiles and like, you know what I mean? Like picking out colors and like with his hands. He's like, I'm emailing my phone. I'm calling on my phone. I'm project managing on my phone. You know what I mean? Like everything. So I feel like now, like with our phones and the capabilities, like it's really blurred for entrepreneurs and anybody,
for sure,
any job. It's like, it's blurred that line of like work and personal. Like there's no like, I mean, there's definitely like industries where it's like, okay, laptop's closed until whenever, but a lot of times it's like, oh, I have access to my work email. You know what I mean? There's like that very, it's gray area now where it's like, I feel like me being an entrepreneur for sure. And that endless to-do list that's always in my head that I need to get done. Like we're not thinking about that. We're shutting off, but even I think it's relatable for other people. That's like, I need to make time to I'm not even downloading my my work email on my phone, like and like creating that like space. I think it's so crucial for your mental health and like being more effective in your job or workplace. It's like you need that refresh. Like you get so burnt out.
And on both sides, like you need the reset so that way you're better in your personal life, and you need the reset so you're better in your work life.
For sure.
So it's just like, because if you get burnt out, you're not going to be able to perform at the highest level. And if you don't and if you are on the opposite side, if you're like too focused on going out with your friends and not focused on your business, obviously your business isn't going to go anywhere. So it's like, it is kind of like that fine line, like you're saying, like the balance and trying to find that balance, because everyone has a different level of balance too. And you know, some people are able to like combine the two and do it successfully, but it's really hard to do that.
It's tough. And it's like, so Instagram post I saw was like, creatives need like time to just sit around and do nothing. Like, and I loved that post because I'm like, it's probably why I don't watch movies or anything. Like it's a documentary if I'm watching a movie, but it's like, I'm reading a nonfiction book because I feel like I need to like be learning or doing something at all times, which is not healthy. Like disconnect, like do nothing, like
totally
allow your time. Like you need that, especially like, artists, creators, musicians. It's like,
100%.
if you're always making music, I don't really make music, so I guess I don't know, but like, I feel like if you're always writing, always making music 24/7, like you haven't even like explored or like lived like the experiences you need to like write about. Like you need the time that you're like not in the studio and like just like living, like just going through life, like, you know what I mean? Without like, and then it's like, oh, like this story or like this, you know what I mean? This sparked this. So I think it also carries over to like the creative world where it's like, dog, if you're on go 24/7, like your antenna that I was talking about is going to burn out. Like it's not even going to receive ideas anymore. And like, you're just going to be a zombie going through the motions. Like you need the time and space to like disconnect and like stop thinking. But the thinking part is the hard part for me. Like I can
sure.
physically not be in the office and like physically not be on my phone, but I'm still like, yo, this needs to be done, or like this. Oh, what? But like, it's also like ideas where I'm putting it together. So when I do go back in the office, like, oh, I thought of the problem solve here. It just took me time to like disconnect and get off to like piece that puzzle together, if that makes sense.
For sure. No, and you're doing it with intention too. And I think that's the biggest part to like take away from it. It's just like you're setting that time away intentionally, and I think that's really important. And I heard this, there was something that I really liked, and it was like do everything with intention, even if that like that is intention to like play video games.
Yeah.
You know, it's not wasted time if you intended to do it.
Yep.
The difference is like if you intended to do the laundry, but then you found yourself playing Fortnite, now it's become an issue. But it's like if you've done everything that you need to do for the day, you have to do, and you like need to set that time, do it intentionally, and it's a good, like you can see it as like a good thing and not as like a negative.
For sure.
And I think that's something
I like that.
Yeah,
I think that's
mean?
even like shit. What like anxiety stems from is like you being like mentally somewhere else and physically you know what I mean? Like you're mental and physical in two separate spots where it's like you're playing video games, but like, you know, you should be doing the laundry.
Totally.
That causes this like anxiety gap of like,
can't even enjoy video games.
You can't enjoy either. Now you're losing in both because you're not like either just fully accept you're not going to do the laundry and like, hey, I'm playing video games. Like the laundry can go be tomorrow. They can do it.
Right.
Or, you know what I mean? Or stop the video games and go do the laundry and be intent on the laundry. But I think that anxiety gap of is like, oh, I'm doing this, but I don't like the word should.
Yeah.
Should I don't like, but like I could be doing the laundry. Like that's, I think this anxiety gap that like causes so much like friction and like animosity like in your mental. So yeah, like you said, like, no, this is like my time and space that I'm playing video games and this is what I'm doing.
Yeah. It's like lack
the
of
hard,
intention.
what I struggle with though is like, I always think I should be doing something. I'm learning more, but like I'm home and I'm watching TV. Like I could be doing the laundry though. Like I hate the word should because it's like this like social pressure. I not should, but like, yeah, I could be doing X, Y, Z. But it's like, the calling yourself back, like, no, I'm not. And I'm doing this because of this. Yeah. And the intention behind it.
And I watched a lot of Rob Dyrdek, and we kind of talked about Rob Dyrdek and like his methodology and like his gamifying and like quantifying his day. And I think that's like a really big thing too, where he does everything with intention. You know, where it's like if he needs to do laundry, like you bet your ass, like that's part of his thing. You know, he doesn't do laundry. He has people that he does. But like when it comes to like hanging out with his kids, hanging out with his wife, you know, these things that are a part of his daily things that like, for lack of a better term, the need to do's is how he puts it. Like having all of your need to do's scheduled as part of your day. So that way, once you know what the difference is, what the leftover time is, you could fill it with your want to do's. You know, and that's when you can schedule your day so that way you can make time for the intentional like wants and, you know, those disconnection times. And then also make sure that you're making time for the need to do's, you know, getting the work done, doing the laundries, doing the chores, doing the hanging out with your wife, hanging out with your family, trying to, you know, maintain that balance on a daily basis. And that's how he does it, where it's like, if he didn't have that like intentional time block schedule, he might be flying off the cuff, you know, where it's, for lack of a better term, like shooting from the hip, if you will, where it's just like at any given time throughout the day, you can be like pulled in a different direction, where it's just like, then all of a sudden you're there for 3 hours and then it's like you try to get back to what you need to do. And then it's just like, then you run out of time because now you got to eat dinner, you know, and then it's just like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'll do it tomorrow. And then a week later, you have 10 different things that you needed to do at the time that now you're like 10 days behind.
I relate on that, honestly. And it's having the self-discipline to be like, no, like, that's not what I need to do right now. I know what I need to do and it's this. And like, that's calling me and like pulling me in this direction. But recentering, I think, is like super important. I was talking about the podcast the other day too, but it's like, there's so many, like, I think as the bigger you get too, there's more shiny objects and more like Lady in the Red Dress syndrome where like, she gets prettier. It's like, it looks shinier over there. And like having the discipline to be like, nope, like, you know what I mean? Like, this is where I'm headed. This is what I need to do. And like, I'm not even like gonna entertain that is very like he's built up a lot of self-discipline to be like, I know what I need to do and I'm doing it regardless of whatever, you know what I mean? Whatever
Totally.
else gets thrown at me, like you can't deter me from my path. And I premeditated what I needed to do. You know what I mean? In a state that's like, okay, I can the night before think about my day so clearly and like, but then it's hard. Like I struggle. Then you get in the day and it's like, oh, like, but this person
Something
called me.
comes
Yeah,
up
something comes up and like
always.
changes it. So
Yeah. I mean,
he
it's
does a very good job of that.
for sure, but I think it's also like having the structure as a baseline is the important part because never ever will it always go the way that it's supposed to.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
it's like a law of like whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
we're just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
things that will go wrong or like things that are I don't
Go
know.
on. Yeah, we'll go
Whatever
wrong. Yeah,
the
yeah.
that may go wrong
Yeah,
will
yeah.
go
Yeah.
wrong type
Yeah,
deal.
yeah, yeah.
So it's kind of like if you plan to like not have any distractions, like you're probably gonna have
No, for sure.
distractions.
1,000%.
So it's almost
gonna
like
test
you have to
for
like
sure.
plan to like know that that's gonna happen,
Yep.
but like understand like if that does happen, handle it quick, come back to the
Yep.
task at hand.
Yep.
And it's just
Yep.
like if
It's
the
meditation.
totally, and that's it. And it's just like being intentional with the time where it's
Yep.
just like, okay, pause,
Yeah.
move,
Yep.
get it done,
Yep.
back to what you were doing. You know,
Yep.
back to your breath, if you will. You
Yeah.
know, like that's kind of like the idea. Of
Yeah.
it's just
Which
like,
is like honestly nowadays that's a superpower. Like with our phones and like fragmented like attention spans and like so many different apps and people begging for your attention on a daily basis. Like to be able to like do that is like that's the modern day superpower of like I'm not giving in to these notifications, these phone calls. You know what I mean? It's very like yeah, you need very like a lot of self-discipline and intention to be like I'm not doing any of that. You know what I mean? It's
yeah,
very tough. It's
yeah.
I commend him for that.
Yeah, and I mean it's tough for everybody.
Yeah,
So and I think that's
1,000%.
something that like anybody watching, like if you're in a position where you want to be better or you want to progress yourself in your own personal or business life, all you have to do is just get started. You know,
Yeah.
and it's like how as cliche as it is, you know, if you start, you'll start to feel those pains and those things and work through them. You know, like
Yeah.
sit down and try to meditate for 10 minutes a day for 3 days
Yeah,
and
yeah.
see if you can do that.
It's hard.
See how you yeah,
10
exactly.
minutes is hard.
10 minutes is hard to sit in one
5
place.
minutes is hard. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just like do that and like just do it for a few days and like see how hard it really is. So you know that like this is something that it's like a challenge. You
Yeah,
know, like
yeah.
I feel like a lot of those times you could see things as like opportunities versus like opportunities to get better at it
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
versus like I suck at this. I'm like just gonna go back to
Yeah.
my whatever.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing with meditation. Like you don't suck and you're not good.
Yeah.
You just meditate. You know what I mean? It's like
Exactly.
this like stop judging, you're just there. You know what I mean? It's like
Totally.
whatever arises, and like meet it with curiosity of like, oh, why is this thought coming? You know what I mean? It's like there's no good meditation, there's no bad meditation. There's just sitting. Oh no, it's just like
Yeah.
get rid of that, like, oh, I'm bad at this. Like it's impossible to be bad at it. Like you just gotta sit there. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
like
if you're doing it,
yeah,
then
yeah,
you're
doing,
in it.
yeah. I think
It's
that's
like,
interesting though. Where like I don't know if there's good or bad. There's just is.
first, that's such a good way to put it. Is that there just is
Yeah.
because it's just like people that are even great at it. I'm sure sometimes they get thoughts that come in their mind. They're just better at like not stepping in
not
front of the
attaching,
car.
yeah, not attaching them, yeah,
Yeah.
not getting in the car,
Not getting in the car,
and just seeing the
not
car
jumping in the
pass.
car and just
Yeah.
watching the car pass by. Like,
Yep.
yeah, I 100% think like it never fully goes away.
Yeah, but even if you hop in the car and take it 30 exits, it's not bad
Yeah, that's
because
true.
you noticed you took it 30 exits. It's like it's not doesn't mean you're bad at meditation. You just realized. Yeah, I mean, it just is. I mean, it's just like,
Totally.
I think that's like super important. We're like, oh, I just went on a tangent for so long. I'm not good at this. It's like no, like you noticed you're on a tangent. That's the whole art of it. Like, and you get better at it. And yeah, it's just interesting. It's like don't get discouraged and like don't. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. It's like you have to trust the process for
Yeah.
like I guess the lamest way to put it.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah,
like
yeah.
trust the process and you just gotta like
Yeah.
know that it's gonna be a hard road
Yeah, yeah.
and know that you're gonna get distracted. And it's like I think with business, that's one of the biggest things, you know, like going into it knowing this is gonna be hard.
Yeah.
This might not work, you know, but like
Yeah.
having the like attention to detail and like the ability to like progress and like learn from your mistakes and like not get derailed when one thing doesn't go wrong
Yeah.
or right, you know, it's
Yeah.
just like with business and personal, I feel like that's like
Yeah.
huge.
And also like almost meditation analogy too, where like business is like it's just like a big pile of shit. And
Yeah.
like you need to like pick up like one piece of trash at the time.
Right.
But like you need to be geeked off the one piece of trash. Like, yeah, you look in front of you like, oh my gosh, this is like
It's a lot.
I mean? It's a lot, but like, I think that's like meditation too. Like
Totally.
it could be overwhelming if you think of like, oh, like I'm getting caught up in like all these thoughts and like, oh, this is such a process. But it's like, no, I sat here for 5 minutes. I don't care if I like went on all these different trains of thoughts. Like I picked up my one piece of trash for the day. Like I
Yeah.
think it's that like same kind of art where it's like, and I'm gonna show up tomorrow to pick up the next piece of trash and I'm gonna eventually clear this whole thing out. But yeah, I think there's like a common thread there where it's like you got to find enjoyment but like it's definitely not like oh no shortcuts, I guess.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I think like the big thing about meditation is the compound effect. You know,
Yeah.
like the compounding, just like money compounds in
Yeah.
the savings account. It's like your brain compounds things, and like you start to like develop different like you literally will create like new connections in your brain like the more you
Yeah,
do
yeah, more you
something.
practice, yeah.
So it's just like it strengthens like a muscle, you know,
Yeah,
like your brain is
for
a
sure.
muscle. So it's just like I think that's something that a lot of people like don't think of, you know, where it's
Yeah.
just like the compound effect
You
of
almost think like
meditation.
meditation's like 1 plus 1 plus 1, like each day, well, plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 7 after a week. Like, nah, it's like 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 5 plus 6. But you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like the more you do it consecutively, yeah, definitely the more
Heavier it
gets added.
compounds.
Yeah,
Yeah.
get added for sure.
Yeah. And it's like when you do it for a year, you know, it's like
Yeah.
after a year versus like if you do it consistently
Yeah.
with intention, like 90% of the time, you're going to feel a lot different about meditation than you
Yeah,
did day one.
for sure.
So it's just like the compound effect.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you know, and I think that's something like to kind of tie it back and just like drive it home is just kind of like the compound effect with life and business together. It's just like showing up.
Yeah, yeah.
Showing up every day.
And whatever comes to you, you know?
Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
just like it might not be a 10 steps forward kind of day. It might be a
Like a
3
few
steps
steps,
back
yeah.
kind of day. But then the next week you're gonna have a 25 steps
Yeah,
forward
yeah,
day. You
yeah.
know, and like that's gonna be like the ups and downs of it. It's just like it's really
And
gonna
that's I
yeah.
feel like the hardest part of business, why people quit, just like showing up. Yeah, that's honestly a lot of the battle is just like, I'm here to take another swing at this thing. You know what I mean?
For
I'm
sure.
here to take another swing. I'm here to pick up another piece of trash, even though like this thing is huge. You know what I
For
mean?
sure. No, it's
Yeah.
like putting yourself in the position to have opportunities
Yeah.
and be, you know, like the fact that you moved to New York City and then that ended up stemming the ideas of like, you know, had you not been in New York City, maybe those things didn't
Probably
happen.
not.
You know what I'm
No
saying? And it's
chance.
just
Yeah.
like I think about this a lot because like I moved to Arizona when I was 20 years old in 2014. So it was like when I was 20, I just had this vision for my life that I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to produce music, and I knew I wanted to produce music with other people that were talented and also as driven as I was.
Yeah.
And living in Grand Rapids, we had a pretty low moving music scene, and is like pretty, you know, for lack of a better term, there just wasn't a lot of talent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so it's like not a lot of talent in my group, you know. So if I wanted to like reach out to some people, it would kind of be like it would kind of be hard for me to do, and they didn't have the same drive that I wanted to have. So it's like I wanted to go to a place where it's like Arizona. I knew it was like progressive, and I could find some people that go to the college and stuff like that. But just like not knowing what I was gonna see,
Yeah.
and like almost like assuming that I was just gonna figure it out,
Yeah.
you know, and
Yeah.
that almost like
Yeah. Yeah.
jumping
Jumping
and
in. Yeah.
trusting and just like almost what's the word I'm thinking of, like taking out the resistance and um what's the word, it's kind of like it's like trust, but it's like falling, and I can't think of the word right now, but it's supposed but basically just kind of like jumping in one direction and just trusting that
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
gonna
Yeah.
land on your feet
Yeah.
type of
Yeah.
deals. And it's just like that's something that forever I will like thank you, young Harry,
Yeah.
for like
Yeah.
having this vision of like coming here, because like changed my life completely.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like one thing led to another. Then I'm like going on tour. Then I'm like meeting people like that have similar mindsets and like business. And then I start to really like sharpen my skills with the photography,
Yeah.
videography, music, and everything like that. It's like all of that probably wouldn't have happened had I like not moved out. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like trusting your gut and like
Yeah, getting us outside your comfort zone. Like I
that's
feel like
it.
you learn a lot about yourself and interests, and um, yeah,
Yeah, it's putting yourself in the position to like to progress. And it's like had I not put myself in that position, like I might still be working like a 9 to 5, like settled down with a wife and kids.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
just like the classic Grand Rapids mindset.
Yeah,
So no, man, this has been amazing. One last thing though, I want to bring up before we wrap up here. In like the mid 2000s, you were on a Kraft
yeah.
mac and cheese box for being the
Yeah.
cheesiest kid in America.
Yeah.
Can you kind of talk on that and how that happened?
Yo, I'm dead. Yeah, so Meijer, which is like a Midwest, honestly, the best store. But
If
grocery
you live in the
store,
Midwest,
yeah,
you know
Meijer.
Meijer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know Meijer for sure. But they just had these like sweepstakes that you used to like just like sign a little like note card and you walked in. And,
Oh,
like,
really?
Yeah.
It's just like,
Yeah, like I didn't even know at the time what I was signing up for. Honestly, I was just like killing time. My mom was like grocery shopping. I was in 4th grade, I think. It's like filled it out, whatever.
you filled it out yourself?
Yeah,
Your mom didn't do it?
No, I filled it out myself.
That's amazing.
Then like I don't know how long it was after. I had to be like a month or two after. I was at my neighbor's house and my mom got a call, and they're like, "Your son won." She's like, "What do you mean?" He's
Won
like,
what?
Yeah, they're like,
What did he sign up
yeah, no,
for?
literally what he signed up for. Like, oh, he won like the Kraft mac and cheese, like most cheesiest kid in America, like through Meijer. And she was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, like he's gonna be on the mac and cheese box. We're gonna fly you and your whole family out to Disney and stay at the Nickelodeon hotel and go to Disney for 7 days.
That's lit,
And
dude. What?
$5,000 for his college."
Whoa.
Yeah, and I was in 5th grade or 4th grade, and yeah, it was just this like weird like random sweepstakes that I won, and they came out to my house. We took a headshot, and I was on the Kraft mac and cheese box in every Meijer in the Midwest for like 2 or 3 months, and yeah, they flew my family out to. It was real, and my mom was like, "This is not real," but yeah, it happened, and it's real. You can check it out. I think it's on my Instagram if you go way back. But
Yo, I gotta get that picture to like put
yeah,
on
you
here.
can cue it up
and
right
post.
here. Yeah, it's the cheesiest kid in America.
What year was that?
I was in 4th grade. Oof, I think I was. I don't even know.
Man, that must have been like 2003 or 4,
Was I like?
or maybe 5.
Yeah.
2005.
I mean, I'm trying to think how old I was at the time. Maybe like 10, 11. I don't know.
Yo, that's crazy.
Yeah, so probably like 2006, 7, around that time.
The fact that you filled it out yourself is the funniest part, bro. It's
Yeah.
just like, I'm just gonna fill this out, random sweepstakes.
Yeah,
Just like
yeah,
not
yeah.
even knowing really what it is. Just
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I could be
No,
the cheesiest kid in
the
America.
cheesiest kid in America.
Yo,
If you know, you know.
that's
Right
amazing.
now, a lot of more people know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, hopefully more people know now.
Oh, that's funny. That's a
man.
good way to end it. That's funny.
Yeah, no, man. Thank you so much,
Yeah,
man. From the
appreciate you having me
cheesiest
on.
kid in America, man. This like my guy, Casey Waters. Go follow him on Instagram at Casey Waters, CaseyWatters. Follow his companies. He lists them all in his Instagram bio, but his most recent endeavor, Strap Photo Club. Check them out. StrapPhotoClub.com.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you're working on right now that you kind of want to plug, or like something coming up that you want to maybe bring some light to?
Ooh. Honestly, Strap. Yeah, just continue to build that thing. So
Strap
yeah,
recently
support.
released Party Pack.
Yeah, party
Kind of
packs.
explain Party Pack real quick.
Yeah, just kind of bulk disposable cameras for weddings, events, corporate events, holiday parties, etc.
5 to 10 pack.
Yeah, I think it just solves the issue of finding bulk disposable cameras and also combining them on the back end so everyone gets the photos at the same time and making it super seamless and easy for brides and grooms and event planners and wedding planners to have a cool way to capture their events.
Yeah, and another thing on Strap that we didn't touch on earlier, the developing is included in it. So not only do you get them to your phone, but like that, a lot of people don't realize that like when you send in the camera, has to be developed as well.
Yeah,
which
yeah.
generally, when you buy a disposable camera, if you don't know this, you have to take it to a
Develop the
film
film,
lab
yeah.
and then pay another 20,
Yeah, yeah.
30 bucks just to get it developed and scanned in high resolution. So that's like a whole nother reason why
Package
Strap,
deal.
yeah, package deal.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like an all-in-one. You pay for it one time, you shoot it, they give you a prepaid shipping label, you send it back, they develop it, scan it, send you the photos within 5 to 7 days.
Yeah.
So it just makes disposable cameras easy. You can get into the game easy.
It's the mission.
So
it's the goal.
man, no, thank you so much for
Appreciate you
being here,
having
man.
me.
No, it's
I like it here on Mars, brother.
Yes, thank you
Yeah,
so
thank you
much,
for having
man.
me.
Fellow Martians, like, subscribe, follow, all that stuff. Check me out on Instagram too, HarryMars_. Thank you guys. We'll see you next time.
Thank
Love
you.
you.
Appreciate it, everyone.
Thank you. guys, thank you so much for tuning in and watching this episode of the On Mars Pod and for sticking around to the end, man. I really appreciate you guys. You are the real Martians. Like this video, comment below what your favorite part was, what was most inspiring to you. Subscribe to the channel, hit that bell for notifications here on future interviews coming out soon. And also follow us on Instagram at On Mars Pod. Love you guys so much. We'll see you next time on Mars.